Record real quick. So what's up again? Now that we're recording, went ahead and say what's up to everybody in here. I'm gonna kick it to the Discord. Today we're talking about short-term swings, as you see right there. We're also gonna talk about some things when it comes to growing accounts. There are different ways you can grow an account. So one thing to keep in mind is, as always, I am not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. I am not responsible for any of your losses, just your wins. And that's the same for everybody in my group. So we do win a lot, though, of course, but I always want to encourage people to learn. So that way, you know how to manage your trades, manage your positions. And then, of course, if Discord shuts down, which it has in the past, you can still make money, right? Right. Cool. So we're going to cover some short-term swings, okay? I'm going to just go to my channel real quick. So you see, here's my weekly recap. I went 15 for 20 this week, 483% total. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So swings, just to point out some swings. Best Bed Bath & Beyond was a swing. These Wayfair puts were swings. Roku was a swing. TTCF was a swing. DE was a swing. These SPY calls were swings. This TTCF was another swing? Possibly. And then these two were swings as well that I took a loss on today. And then, like I said, I'm out in Orlando with my family. So I was trying to actually spend family time and not be on here since I live traded all day on Wednesday, which means this is actually incorrect. And there needs to be separation right here. But nevertheless, so this is looking at some swings, and we're going to go over, different things to look for. And I'm actually going to tie in some stuff, like some aspects of actually using the chat, because I think a lot of people need a refresher on understanding that there's a bunch of stuff in the chat y'all can use outside of our calls to find swings. And sometimes when I can't find anything, I'll still pop over here and look at some of the stuff. So I don't use these very often, all right? But we have a watch list that get posted here, as well as analysis that gets posted here every day. And these can be better used for day trades. But when it comes to swings, on the option side, there's two main things outside of our call outs you can look at. And again, sometimes when I'm looking at SPY, looking at Apple, and I'm like, they ain't really doing nothing, I'll come through here and I'll see what different things this bot is putting out. And I think the bot usually runs around a 70 to 80% success rate on its own. But I would say, with these, it's pretty decent to just take profits at 30%. Usually they do hit 30% within the first 2 to 3 days. So sometimes same day, right? But what I'll do is sometimes I'll look at it. So for example, we have JPM calls, we have run calls, right? So I'm gonna just take this JPM, run, and BA. And so this is what I would do, which I don't do too often. Let me find my trading view. There we go. There we go. All right. So then what I would do is I'll come pull up a chart, and we can clear out all these. That's all cool. So I'll come pull up a chart, and I would say, all right, let me see. This thing is talking about some calls. Let me see if that makes sense to me. All right. So first thing I noticed, we already filled this gap. That's fine. I see we have this level of resistance right here. We've had 4 rejections already happen off this level. We're coming out of a downtrend, right? So we're trending down here. We started reversing, right? Denoting our trend reversal is that we're now making higher lows. Instead of over here, we're continuously making lower lows, and we're making higher highs, right? Whereas over here, our highs are decreasing, right? So we're a reversing trend. Cool. So now on a shorter term scale, looking at the past month or so, it's currently August. So over here from July to currently, we are moving in an upward trend, right? So that's one of the things, and this is just me breaking it down. So we're in an uptrend, respecting this trend line. Every time we come down, we're bouncing off of this trend line I just drew. Okay, cool. All right, cool. So still got this gap below, which is cool. But the bot said take calls. And what I'm looking at is, okay, we're bouncing up this trend line. We did form an inside day today, right? Inside day, inside bar pattern, which we've covered on multiple classes. Luther just joined. What's up, Luther? He ain't even connect to audio. I did all that for nothing. Luther in the house. All right. So it did from an inside day. It's in the uptrend. So we could take this trade in anticipation of a breakout, right? So if I'm looking to take a trade that has room to run, and we're looking at a potential breakout happening here, then that's a valid trade to take, right? And so this is not exactly a trade that I didn't look at this until just now. Y'all saw these were all unread in the channel. But what's up, Luther? Now that you can connect to audio. All right. So that's not a trade I took. However, looking at this, I'm like, oh, okay, cool. It's a possible breakout about to come. That's a good entry for you to anticipate an early breakout. And we've been very bullish lately in the market. So if you want to swing over the weekend with some bullish, if you're feeling bullish on it, then you could take that swing, right? Let's go look at the other one, which was run. It called for run calls. And I think the last one was JP Morgan. All right, so run, same sort of deal, right? We were coming out of this downtrend, started some consolidation, and now we've broken above this 3420 area, which will mid 34s. All right, so you see we're kind of holding this zone. It was just a quick little drop. All right, but we see we're holding this zone as resistance. All right. Reject. Reject. Clone it. Rejects. All right, so we see all these rejections, but now we finally have broken through. All right, so same sort of deal here is looking at this. We see we've broken out of resistance. We already saw our retest of support, right? So we came back and retested the previous resistance as support. Now we're bouncing off. I believe this one was an inside day as well. This low is 35.20. This low is 35.18, right? So this is another inside day, but this is another trade that potentially has room to keep running to the upside. All right, so here's another example of a short-term swing trade that you could have taken based off of the idea from the bot in the Discord, and then charting it yourself, right? Which is why it's important, again, to learn these things. So when we look at that, last one was JPM. Now, JPM, the other two, so we circle back real quick. The other two run, we see we're in downtrend consolidation. We're breaking out of that downtrend. Boeing, we saw we were in a downtrend, small consolidation period here, coming back up, potentially to break fully out of this area and go ahead and keep pushing higher. JP Morgan, looks like we're still in that overall downtrend, right? So we're in that downtrend. We started consolidating and we did start breaking out of that consolidation. All right, so we see the downtrend over here. I'm gonna zoom back out. See the downtrend. We see our consolidation zone over here, where we're bouncing around between about 120 to 110 from June 10th over to August 10th. So it's 2 months. So 2 months of bouncing in this range. We've finally broken out of that range. So JP Morgan, same sort of deal as the others actually, is that you have potential to the upside. You have a gap target as well, right? So that's one way you could look at finding short-term swings on your own using the stuff in the chat. I think the reason I press on that so much is because I pay for this stuff, bro. So like, please use it to make money. Oh, because I pay for those bots. Like I pay for all that stuff to be there so y'all can use it. And so if you're somebody who is in the chat and you're like, yo, Jordan's calling all these scalps, the only person that's calling swings very often is Avery. Like that's exactly what you would do. All right. I'm gonna go through it real quick for people who just hopped on. Come down to the Discord Signal Bot section. This bot is putting out tons of ideas based on a bunch of AI data. All right, but you can come and you can test these against your own TA to see if it's a valid trade idea, right? JP Morgan, gap fill to the upside, breaking out of consolidation after a downtrend. I know I said that really fast. And for us to get 120 calls that expire next week, and you can see the open interest and volume and all that as well, premiums. And it's currently at 122. So it's telling me to buy it in the money call, which is already lower risk. We have a week on it. And then I see this gap fill that we have above, and we're breaking out of this consolidation period. So really, once we can break over this high that can act as a potential resistance at 123.34, then I'm like, yo, we're clear to just go ahead and fill that gap. So that's a solid trade idea. I personally would want to see it push above this high, but that's a solid trade idea you could take and it's your own swing trade, right? So any questions? That making sense? Y'all already know. If that's making sense, put Y's in the chat. If it's not making sense, if you're confused, put it in and then follow up with a question. So that way I'm not leaving anybody behind by going too fast. J Merch with the dollar signs. Love it. That's the secret, the dollar signs. Cool. Cool, 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 cool. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, it's not I'm sorry, I done missed all these in the chat. So yeah, it's not, don't get discouraged again by, you're not seeing a bunch of swings being called. Right. This is part of that teaching you to fish, right? You have opportunities, you have the resources. This is how you leverage them. How do you put the swings work with small accounts? Absolutely. You would just trade stocks that have smaller prices. All right. So instead of swinging Tesla, instead of swinging Google, you would swing something like Snapchat, something like Delta Airlines, something like Twitter, something like Ford, Caribbean Cruise Line, right? Those are all going to be lower priced. eBay, Expedia, Dish, Verizon. Those are all lower cost stocks. I'm gonna actually, on my screen, I'm gonna just, so you can get a quick idea, a quick glimpse. Let me sort it. So looking at my screen right now, these are all stocks that you could potentially put on your watch list for smaller cost stocks that you can swing. And you see, you can still get some decent percentage moves on these. Dish moved up about 4% today. TripAdvisor had a 5% move, right? It's a $27 stock. So those costs of those options are pretty low. As far as the prices that I have popping up, that is a pivot points high and low indicator, right? So that is called pivot points high low, right? And what that does for me is it allows me to easily see where high levels are and where lows are without me having to hover over the candles all the time and try to get it. So when I'm trading off the 1 minute, 3 minute charts, every second counts, right? And for me, I don't like looking at a 1 minute chart and having to hover my line over it to see what the high was of a certain candle. I easily can tell, the high over here was 133.51, right? This was this. So that's that. Yep. Thanks, Shay Dub. Boom, 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 boom. So would you look at a lower time frame to enter? So you could, right? So on swings, I like to look at the daily and the 1 hour on swings. But when it comes to swings as well, depending on how far out your swing, your entry can be, you have less room or more room to be less precise. So when you're scalping and you're going to be in a trade for 2 minutes, 3 minutes, you got to be more precise, right? Because every price point matters. Your order fill, all that stuff is real pivotal, right? If you're trying to get 5-10% real quick. But if you're holding something that's going to be 3 months, whether you get in, typically, if you hold something for 3 months, whether you get in at the beginning of the day or the second hour of the day, if you in the trade for 3 months, it's really not going to make that big of a difference, right? No. Okay, what we got? Would you use the expiration date or go out a week later? I would use the same expiration the bot gave. That's also going to play into your comfortability and your risk level. So if it's a same week expiration and you're not comfortable with holding a same week expiration, then go an extra week out, right? You might miss out on an extra 20% profit, but instead of getting 40, you still grab 20. Cool, right? Who cares? You stacking your account. The other aspect is that's why I'm saying take it to the chart, right? So you're not following the bot call out blindly. You're looking at the bot call out as an idea, and then you're bringing it to the chart to see if you agree with that idea, and then in turn can make that into your own trade. All right. So you could choose a different strike. The bot called out 120 calls on JP Morgan. You could take 121. Who cares, right? You could take 122. If that's better for your budget. It's not a big deal to be exactly on it, but you don't want to go 4 strikes out the money. That's not what you want to do, right? So don't get too pressed about it. But again, you have to make sure that what you're trading fits into your trading strategy, fits into your budget, fits into your regular schedule. If you know you're going to be in meetings at work all week this week and it's going to be hectic, don't get a same week expiration. Get an extra week on it, right? No such thing as a stupid question, G. Ask away. When would you purchase the contract? If I'm looking at, if I do take a trade from that, and I haven't in a minute, but if I did, or when I would, if I did, or when I did, I've done it before. Uh, as soon as I feel like it's valid. So if I pull up the chart, if I see the bot call it out, I pull up the chart and I'm like, oh snap, this looks good. I'll go ahead and get in. All right. If I'm seeing like, it's overextended on the 5 or whatever, depending on the expiration. If it's a three week out contract, I'm not looking at the 5-minute chart. Then I'll wait. But if it's like if it's on a day and it's overextended, I might wait for a pullback, or I might just keep it pushing. Right. So that's the other beautiful thing about having so many options and so many ideas is if we flip it back to the Discord real quick, if you're looking for some short-term swing ideas that are outside of what we might be calling or might not have called, and you don't like JP Morgan, you can go look at Run. You don't like Run, you can go look at Boeing. You don't like Boeing, you can look at ARK. You don't like ARK, you can look at Coin or Riot or Bed Bath & Beyond or IWM or Amazon or Tesla. Like, these are all from the day. So you have tons of choices and you can just pop up even on your lunch break. If you're at the office, you could pop up on your lunch break, pull these up because you might have missed our call outs or missed our entries. And you're just like, okay, let me look at this chart, see if this trade still makes sense. And when you open these links up, it'll take you to a chart and show you where the signal was called. It'll show you the premium cost and all of that. So you can see if based on the signal that the bot gave, you're entering after, you're entering early, or entering at a better price. And even with entering after, the same thing applies, right? If I call something out and it's a 3-month out swing and you're getting in $20 higher than me, like it's a $20 difference on a 3-month out swing. I'm not about to close it for just $20 per contract. Right, we're holding it, trying to capture a bigger move. So you still want to look at the chart for yourself and see, oh man, Jordan called it out here. It's like $20 above where he entered at. Let me look at the chart. Oh, it still has tons of room to run. Oh, it might pull back a little bit, then continue. Okay, I'll wait. Or okay, I'll get in now. I'm $20 off, but that's kind of arbitrary, right? Because you could get in the same trade whenever. Somebody else probably got in that same trade without knowing Jordan called it out at a certain point. So don't let me calling it out at 9:50 deter you from entering it at 10:10. All right. This is the daily. Well, this is the 1 hour. I'm trying to get caught up on the chat. Oh, I'm 10 minutes behind on the chat. So when I'm swinging, I usually will look at the daily, the 4 hour, the 1 hour for 1 hour for my entry. All right. So I look at the daily, kind of gauge the overall move. If I'm short-term swing, I'm usually just going off the 1 typically. Now enter off the 30. But if I'm like swinging for a week or so, then I'll go ahead and look at the daily, and then I'll break it down to the 1 hour in most cases. Using the bot trades, the paper trade, and chart validation. Yeah, look at the bots. JJ said I answered their question. Cool. So yeah, look at the bots, look at their trades that they're calling out. Again, the bots in the bot section of the Discord are actual bots. Some of the other ones that are under the trade signals, those are real people who signal through bots. All right, so just some technical stuff. How to differentiate between swings versus day trades, except for timeline. So besides expiration, when it comes to the bot, you can't. There's no identification of time frame, but they usually will say they're typically meant to be short-term swings or day trades if the move happens, right? So that's where you take some responsibility in your own self to say, hey, I got in this trade. I did it the other day. I got in a trade. I got in SPY, and I was like, yo, this is gonna be a SPY swing for Friday, right? The swing, it was meant to be a swing, but it went up 83% that day. It would be foolish of me to have it go up 83% in like 2-3 hours and then say, well, I'm just gonna not do anything with this and hold it till tomorrow and hope for the best. All right. At that point, no, that's a day trade. Now, So you still have to use your own discretion and your own knowledge, which is again why we stress coming on the classes. Can you show tickets for small accounts again? Sure. Write it down, take a screenshot. All right. But what you could do, matter of fact, here's an easy way to do it. Here's how you can find some stocks to trade with a smaller account. Y'all about to get some class today. All right, you can pull up FinViz. You want to trade, you want stocks that are optionable. If you're trading a smaller account, let's look for stocks that are under 50 bucks. Let's look for something that's 10 to, oh, I can't do that. I don't pay for it, so I won't do that. I would say look for something maybe 20 to 50. I don't like trading stuff really. It's like under $20. But so you could look up stuff that's under 50, optionable. You could choose to do US only companies. And then average volume can be over 1 million would be really nice. You could work with that. Yeah, you could do over 1 million. You could do over 2 million. All right. So these aren't going to be all weekly options, but clearing out that volume can help. And then here you go with your potential list, and you can always go and set different things up. Like I said, I would want to trade stuff that costs above 20 bucks. But you can go and break it down a lot further where, hey, I want to trade stuff that's only in the downtrend overall, or something that's in a mega downtrend. It's under the 20, under the 200, under the 50, and under the 20, And so now I'm looking at, let's see, what's something that I don't even recognize none of these companies. BBIG, right? So it's just different ways for you to pull them up, but that's how you could look at some. As far as my list, what I did, and this was a list I put together about 2 years ago, is I went through and I just pulled up a bunch of stocks that had weekly options. Right. This is literally what I did. I pulled up this website. And I literally just laid out every single stock that was available for weekly options. So every single stock that you see on this list, and I'll put the link in the chat. 2 years ago, I took every single stock on this list and I put it on my watch list. And then I can sort it by price and things of that nature. All right, let me scroll back up. Almost done. All right. Bots do not show exits, which is again why you're charting it yourself. And that's why I said take 30% is my kind of idea with it. Hey Jordan, I have an Amazon call strike. You up 200%, and the money expired. If it expired today, I don't know if you got exercised or not. But it should have, it's closed. You're not gonna be able to do anything Monday with a contract that expired today. So you should already have the profits in your account. All right, I'm about to go ahead and keep going with these swings because it looks like we turned into a Q&A and we're not at the Q&A yet. I'm gonna keep the chat where it's at. Glad y'all asking questions though, for sure. All right, here's another way to find some swings. FinViz, again, and like somebody just mentioned in the chat, you can use FinViz for technical analysis. So, so what you can do is come to FinViz, and one, you can use it just like this to look at the charts. What I'll do is I'll come here, what I used to do this every day, is I would just come over here. I would sort it by average volume, descending, so I get the things with the most volume coming up first. And then I'll just come over here and look for different patterns. I would just take notes of what I saw, right? So I see AMD is consolidating around this $100 level, right? So I could look for a potential breakout here. We've been in this, this downtrend move with all these waves up and down. We finally broke out, but now we're retesting this $100 level. So then once you break over about 105, we can take it up towards 110. All right, carry it over to the chart. You know, and you could chart it out the same way you see it on there. But that's literally what I would do is I was like, all right, bet AMD, let me know when we push 105. And then I'm gonna come back, check it out, and I could swing it up to 110. All right. Because once we break back above this level, our next level to take profits that would be right here. Okay. And so you could literally do that as well. So you being able to find swings again relies on your ability to understand charts, understand chart patterns, understand technical analysis in some form, and then apply it and implement, you know, and execute on what you've looked at. All right. Same sort of deal with NEO. We're seeing a breakout above this trend line resistance, rejection, 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 rejection. All right. Breakout, retest. All right. So same sort of thing. Once you break above this high right here, I wouldn't mind trying to swing some calls. And so I'm setting these alerts right now. And once we break above, I'll take this one. So once we break above 21.9, I'll take 22. Once we break above 22.05, I'm gonna come back, I'm gonna check it out. And then I could potentially take this swing up to 24, around like 24, 25 or 24. All right, back to this next area, we might get some resistance. All right, so that's another way. That's the way I used to do it every day. Every day. I would come to FinViz, pull up all these charts. I would look at every single chart. I would write down what tickers stood out, just like I did with NEO, just like I just did with whatever stock I showed y'all before NEO. And then I would go AMD. And then I would just go and chart them like I just did, right? So I'll write down Alibaba. We're bouncing off this trend line support, you know, looking at that as a potential move, right? So you can come through and look at all these Comcast retesting the resistance right here at 40. You got the gap fill above. You have the trend line resistance as a potential target above as well. All right. Wells Fargo testing the resistance. Could trade it for a breakout. All right. So you're able to just look at all these charts. They're already pretty marked up. You might, of course, mark yours up differently than they've done here. You can also, in some instances, find some ideas using this, which is going to show you different patterns that they've already laid out based on what you have as your settings for your ticker screen. All right, so if you're looking for downward wedges, you can do that. Ascending triangles, descending. So I'm not finding much with those tickers I got. Continental Resources had an upward channel, and now it's starting to form a downward channel. But it just broke out of that. So that's something else you could watch for. Another one that was a downward channel, and it's starting to turn into a trend line here. It just broke out. So that's another one that you can watch. It just broke out. All right. So you can come through here and look at these different ideas. I'm not paying for FinViz. All right. A lot of these will post up even after they've already happened. So now Charter, for example, already had its triple bottom, which you clearly see. All right. Clear triple bottom. Boom, boom, boom. Now it's testing this resistance. So even if we take a break of this low, that could be a potential swing back down to 450. That's a pretty big move. That's $20. Once you break that low, it's about 20 bucks. All right. So that's another way to find swings. I'm gonna show one more. Put some Y's in the chat if using FinViz is helpful, if you're gonna use it, if you're gonna think about using it. If we need to do a FinViz specific class, which I've done, let me know. If this is making sense, please let me know, man. Like our teachers used to say back in the day, I'm not doing this for my health. What are you looking at when you enter on the daily? If the EMA is extended, no. Golden Cross, no, I don't really look at EMAs when I'm trading. I just look at the charts. I just look at the price action, the candlesticks, and the zones based off where the candlesticks are going. You don't have to be rich to be my girl. It's a little vibe. Do you use FinViz to find intraday patterns? I don't. I think you have to pay for that. And I don't. I just, Jay Merch, if you want to look at my live trading, because I did live trade all day. Me and Moody were on there. Traded live all day yesterday. So if any of y'all want to see how I trade in action, all right, here you go. All right, we live traded the whole day yesterday. Like I got off for like 15 minutes to go pick up my siblings because the place they were at had fire trucks pulling up. So this is the perfect live trade. We called out, I think, 4 trades. Took profit on 2 swings. So I don't use FinViz intraday. I used to use it a lot for swings. Sometimes I will still use it if I'm trying to catch a swing, but can you explain the looking at chart comment? What do you mean, Ganesh? Jay, FinViz, bro. Yeah, FinViz Elite gives you intraday charts. So you might be able to use an intraday scanner with FinViz. I've never tried FinViz Elite. Because before I became a day trader, this worked fine, right? I don't need to see intraday charts most of the time. I'm setting up my charts the night before, and then I have my triggers, and then I would enter the next day. But yeah, you could definitely do it. I might try it out. I guess I literally just sit and look at the chart though, so it probably would help. I could try it out. For those of us still learning and using EMAs or indicators, what we look for on the daily, Craig said his DE calls went 400%. Good stuff, Craig. That was a short-term swing. It was overnight. What would you look for on the daily? We just had an indicators class. Tracy, I know a lot. I don't even know how to say stuff and sound like real modest. Tracy, I've been studying the market for a while. I've been back tested at least 600 to 700 strategies. That's automated back testing. Not even to mention manual hand back testing. So when it comes to indicators, you can use EMAs, you can use Bollinger Bands, you can use the RSI, you can use MACD. You don't want to have your indicators determine how you move completely unless it's a back-tested indicator-based strategy. All right. So to put that in perspective, for example, so I'm not about to teach this fully right now, but this is a strategy I back tested back in, nope, this isn't the one I wanted. This ain't the one I want. This is the one I want. This is a strategy I back tested back in December of 2018 at 3 a.m. And this strategy took $500, ended with $1 million in profit over the span of 15 years. Right, it did require 100% of the account on every trade, but it finished with a 70% success rate per trade. And you can see all the stats here, right? So 70% win rate, annual return was 67%, and this was an indicator-based strategy. So if you back test an indicator-based strategy, then you would go with it. But more often than not, let price action lead you. Trend, support and resistance, supply, demand, and candlesticks, and then your indicator can kind of back you up. How often do updates come from the options bot? You probably get about 6 or 7 of them a day, it looks like, but they won't update on the same position. It'll give the idea, right? So it'll give the idea. It's not like the traders in our group where we call out ideas and then we're managing the positions live and giving updates. The bot will just share an idea for a setup, and it's on you to take the setup. They just got off the Zoom, but they asked what indicators have straight lines on my screen. That's just a horizontal line. And you can put that anywhere you want. Those aren't indicators. All right. So FinViz, y'all are good on that aspect. Looking at for some short terms. So one more resource in the chat you could use for short-term swings. Again, I definitely encourage y'all to go through the recorded classes, go through the basic education, go through the options education. There's tons of stuff for you to learn. Stock education, crypto education, all that. Is the strat signals. Right. So y'all know a lot of people have been catching on to the strat in here lately. Oh, look at that. D. Right. So you come to the strats for another potential ideas. Right. And this isn't a strat class. Moody teaches on the strat. Very, very great trading with the strat and breaking it down. So if you want to learn more about it, you can. But just for the basis of this, is you can use these trading ideas from the strat bot to then go ahead and make a trade. All right. So if we're looking at, let's look at today. So for on the 1 hour, we got Dash, right? We have our entry. This came in wrong. This entry is above the. Let's find a good one. All right, so we got ZS on the 1 hour, 182.2 is the entry. This was called at 1 p.m. So we come back to trading view. I can pull up ZS, 1 hour. So it says to enter at 182.2. And the exit was, your target is 180 on the decline and your stop loss is 184. All right. So what it looks like is it's trading, it's like it's trading within this inside candle right here. All right. And so it's looking for a break back to retest this inside candle's low, is what it's doing. And it hasn't hit either, right? So it came through. This is looking for a 2-1-2. It's so cool when I say stuff like that now. I used to not know what this stuff was. But that's what the trade was, right? And this is me not having really studied the strat, but just understanding candles and trading. As we was looking for a break right here to take this down to retest this level, right? So this is another way you can look at trades, and that bot puts out ideas based on the strat for the 1 hour, the 30-minute. There's some for the daily somewhere in here. All right, so 1 hour, 1 day, right? So those are other, again, potential swings, and you have your entry, you have your target, you have your stop loss levels given as well, right? So you can, of course, take it back to the charts if you want. I encourage you to always take it to the charts. Then you can take it to the charts, and you can see if you agree with the trade. Now, if we're looking at swinging, if I look at ZS on the daily, and I'm looking at it the same way I'm looking at JP Morgan. All right, we had the downtrend. We're no longer in the downtrend. We had the consolidation period. All right, so now I'm looking at a potential move back up, and we might come back and retest this level and then bounce back up. All right, so we're no longer in the downtrend. So I'm not really looking at swinging it longer term if it was, because we're no longer in downtrend. So I'm not trying to swing it to the downside anymore. All right. So that's the strat bot. Okay. And that's taking us to about 50 minutes deep in the class right now. Are there any questions so far? Drop them in the chat about anything that's been covered. We can do questions about the Discord in general as well. That's fine. But those are different ways you can look at short-term swings. That website I was looking at earlier, Profits Pie. You can, of course, I have a bunch of screeners and scanners on here too that I've created. All right, so you see all this criteria right here. Now, this one, the close has to be greater than $30. Has to be below the 20-day moving average. RSI is at this level. MACD is like this. All right, so I have tons of different stuff that I've looked at and set up over time where I can come in and be like, okay, what am I looking at? And you can use these for potential trades, right? Hasbro don't look like it's about to flip back down. Look like it want to go ahead and start pushing up. All right. See what we got in the chat. What time frame do you enter on, Samantha? I trade on the 1 minute, 3 minute, 5 minute, personally. So that's me. If I'm looking at swings, then I'll look at the daily for the overall trend, and then I'll usually enter off the 1 hour. If I'm looking at like a swing for like a week, then I'll look at the daily, I'll look at the 1 hour. If I'm getting like a shorter term swing, I'll just look at the 1 hour typically, and kind of go off of that. If I'm like swinging overnight, I'll look at the 1 hour. Keep up the good work, Jay. You're doing the Lord's work. I'm gonna have enough bread to start paying my membership ties soon. Appreciate you, bro. Appreciate you, bro. I'm blessed to be a blessing. I'm using my gift to help others, man. That was a strap bot in the chat. Thanks, JJ. No, when I'm trading, most of the time I'm on the 1 minute. So again, if you want to look at me live trading and you feel like watching 6 hours worth of Jordan on the Zoom, I'll be thinking, well, all right, ain't nobody finna watch that whole thing. But yeah, so this was yesterday. Was it yesterday? Yeah, this was yesterday. Live trading. All right. So those are in the recorded classes section. And you can see those. Now I think we called out 4 trades live in total. All of them hit profit. We all take profit. Sean said most he ever made in his time. That's what's up. So let's talk real quick about scaling your account, growing your account. So there's tons of ways to grow accounts, and this is going to be me sharing some things that I've done, some things that I've heard that I believe make sense, and then just kind of like general principle, right? So one of the things when it comes to growing your account, which is everybody's goal typically, let me use this too. So there's a couple of different things. So one, at the basis of everything you're looking at doing, you want to make sure that at the end of the day, you're trading in alignment with the reason behind your trading, right? The purpose you're trading, your why for trading, whatever it is. Okay. So if your purpose in trading is to make money to send your kid to college, then you do need to be focused on stacking your account, right? Because that ain't gonna be no cheap thing. If your focus on trading is, I'm trading so I can make money to pay my car note, because I just bought me a new car. Let's say it's $600 for your insurance and for your car note, whatever. All right. If it's $600 a month, then that's all you need to focus on making. Of course, you want to make extra, but you don't want to get so caught up in the fact that you can make 2,000 that you start over trading and you potentially risk not hitting the target. The point at the end of the day is for us to use this vehicle, this market, to hit our goal, right? Whatever it is, right? So keep that in mind with whatever you're doing. The goal isn't always to build the account. If you got $10,000 in your account and you're just trying to trade so you can have money to pay for your mortgage or pay for your car note or whatever, then you don't need to really make more than 10% on your account. You can make $1,000 and that's covering your car for sure. Right? You make, $2,000 or how, depending on how you live in, $3,000 or whatever, that's covering your mortgage, covering your rent, whatever. Right? So you don't. Once you get so caught up in building your account and having big numbers and making a bunch of money and screenshotting stuff to show your friends, family, the Discord, whoever, that you end up jeopardizing the main purpose of what you're doing. Okay. So that's one. Number two is you want to always figure out a plan that makes sense for you to attain your goal, and your goal needs to be reasonable. Right? I used to have so many people, their first question they would ask me is, how quickly can I make $1 million of trade? I'm like, oh, what are you starting with? Because that's, if you're starting with $50 to make $1 million, it's going to take a lot more time or a lot more effort than if you're starting with 500,000. You just got to double it once, $50, you got to double it however many times to get to $1 million, right? So you want to make sure that your goal is reasonably aligned with what makes sense for you and your trading account. And if not, then you need to segment your goals, right? So if your goal is, I want to have my trading account pay for my bills, right? Say your monthly expenses are 4,000, right? But your trading account is $1,000. It's not reasonable for you to say, well, I'm going to go get a 400, 500% return every month off this $1,000 account and pay my bills that way. That doesn't make sense. All right. So your first goal needs to be, what's a reasonable amount for me to make each month to achieve my percent for me to achieve my goal of $4,000 to pay my bills? What do I need to get, on average? Okay, I know trading in the group, or I know with my own call outs, or I know with my whatever strategy I've tested, I know I can secure 30% monthly gain month over month, no problem. All right. So then if you're like, well, my goal is $4,000 a month, and I know I can secure a 30% gain month over month, then you need to go ahead and say, okay, well, for me to get my 4,000, I need my account to be a little over $13,000. Now you might need like 13.5. You get 30% of 13.5, then you have your 4,000 a month, and you can just rinse and repeat, right? And so that's not to say don't not shoot for the goal, but you might have to adjust your short-term goal so that you can then hit your long-term goal. Okay. So that's number 2, right? We're trading in a way that makes sense for what we're doing. And you want to still make sure that in that, right, segmenting this, additional point is you're thinking logically about what works for you, right? So again, that is, if you're trying to trade and you work as the COO of whatever incorporated and you work 70 hours a week or whatever the case it is, then reasonably you might only be able to take 3 or 4 trades a month because you just aren't in a position where you have the time to actively trade or be able to look at the markets during the market, right? Then you need to make sure that those trades are going to either be getting you that target percentage, or you need to make sure that you're putting enough money on it for it to work, right? Because you can get $1,000 off of $1,000, getting 100% return, or you could take $10,000 and get a 10% return. Which one's easier, right? Which one's easier, more replicable, repeatable, whatever the word is, right? So you want to make sure again that if hey, I'm swing trading, I can't be taking all these day trades with Jordan. Jordan put in Jordan's call outs this week had a 483% total gain, right? That would have been cool, but I can't keep up with that. Then you need to make sure you find a way to get your target that makes sense. And if your target is 50% a week based on your account size to hit your goal to pay your bills each month, but you can't reasonably hit 50% a week, you need to scale your account more so that you can hit your 30%, your 20%, your 10%, whatever it is. Okay. That's the second thing. Third thing, right? You can add more money to your account, but you don't want to add more money to your account to back up your losses, right? So we don't want to add more fuel to the fire when we're going in the wrong direction. Okay. But there's nothing wrong with building up the account, right? So if you're working a job, you make 5,000 a month, your monthly expenses are 3,000, you got 2,000 left over, right? Maybe you spend 1 rack on yourself, and then you got 1 extra band left over. With that, you can start putting it into the market, right? But you want to do it at a point where you're being consistent with your trades and you're moving strategically, and that extra money coming in isn't going to throw you off mentally with how you're trading, because there's a big difference mentally when you're trading $1,000 versus when you're trading 10,000, when you're trading 20,000, right? There's a big difference. I ain't never traded 100,000. I'll tell you that now. So I don't know how the head get on that one. I never did that yet. But in that scaling, I will tell you that you definitely look at stuff differently, and you don't want to start adding more unnecessary risk to your account, right? And that goes back to the first thing of securing the bag, right? You don't want to just get the bag, you want to secure, right? So that's another part. Number four, when you're trying to grow your account, is you want to be consistent in your sizing per your strategy. And I say that because I don't just trade like only one strategy, right? Y'all know I'll day trade, I'll swing, I'll scalp, I do lottos, right? So I have a bunch of different stuff, but across those, I typically have a set kind of position size based on how I'm feeling about whatever the trade is. Right. So if it's a lotto and it's like the phase lotto, right? I had like 5 lottos this week. 2 of them went for 100%. Maybe one of them was almost a 100% loss, right? I'm not putting the same size on these lottos as I'm putting on a trade I'm looking at on the 1 minute chart on SPY that I'm staring dead at the screen, watching the candles come in. All right. Because I can actively manage that. So I'm going heavier on that. All right. When I'm targeting, and I gave like a sniper entry example on the live trade, when I'm doing that stuff, I'm fine with that because I'm looking at, I'm more precise, right? So you want to make sure that your trading sizes are consistent and in alignment again with what you're trading, and you're focusing more on what makes you the most money. So even me having this strategy, that strategy, I could trade this, I could trade that, I could trade that. I know where the bulk of my success lies, although I'm pretty successful with whatever I decide to do. And that's just because I've gotten the reps, I've done the studying, I've gotten the experience. But in that, if you know that you trade the strat, but you also trade RSI or Bollinger Band or whatever, but you know the strat is what gives you the best results, then you're going to want to go heavier with the strat. If you know that trading your RSI strategy or trading earnings, you know, your earnings trades, they're kind of hit or miss, but when they hit, they really hit, 200, 300%. When they miss, minus 80, right? There's nothing wrong with taking those, but you want to make sure you're not putting the same size on those as you're putting on your regular day-to-day trades that are in your strat, right? Or if you have a strategy that has a higher win rate, then it's okay to go heavier on that because your odds of losing are so much less. But you don't want to put heavier money on it that you're more likely to lose, right? One of the things for me, so number 5, I'm just rolling. One of the things for me that's helped me, I think, mentally is not scaling up with my trade size too often. So for the most part, I'll typically trade around the same size on my trades, regardless of where my account's at. And that, I think it has a mental effect on me to kind of look at my trades the same regardless. As far as like my trades, I'm like solid with, right? Not the lottos. But I'm like, okay, cool. I'm looking at the same because when you're trading, and I know it's a problem for a lot of people who try to get in these trades that don't fit their account balance. If you trading and you're looking at your P&L instead of the chart, you put too much money on that trade, right? Your P&L tells you nothing about the direction the stock is moving. Nothing. Your P&L tells you nothing about the price. It tells you nothing about the news. It tells you nothing about the stock. So if you enter a trade and your main focus is on the P&L, watch, I'm up this, I'm down this, I'm up this, I'm down this, then you've put too much money on that trade, right? And so you need to also understand, as you develop as a trader, you want to start understanding these like mental cues and mental triggers for yourself so that you can say, yo, once you get that feeling, you're like, I can just go ahead and get out of this, or let me go ahead and scale back on this because you're doing too much, right? When you screenshot that profit, it's time to sell that, right? There's certain psychological cues where you're like recognizing now that you're no longer able to move very logical based. Because most time, once you start screenshotting profit, you've hit your target if you have one set, and now you're really just trying to squeeze out whatever you can. But again, if you're looking at your P&L, you're not looking at the chart, right? And you need to look at the chart to see what price is doing to determine whether or not you're staying in. Okay. So that's number like 5 or whatever, number 6. So number 7, whatever number we're on, number 22. I'm gonna pause here. Is that making sense? I'm gonna pause here, check for feedback. I'm gonna drop the link in the Discord one more time. Tell folks get on here if they want to make some bread. Let me know if it's making sense. Let me know if it's making sense. Let me know. Let me know. Let's see what we got. Why? Reproducible. Yep, keep Uncle Sam in mind as well. That's a great. With smaller accounts, is it best to swing trade? Doesn't matter. What's best to do with your account is whatever makes you the most money consistently, allows you to be profitable and comfortable. You can trade a small account day trading and be fine. Swing trading can be fine. All right. You want to make sure when you're trading a small account, and this is like lessons from me doing that $78 to $1,000 account, is you want to be as high probability as possible. You want to be as high probability as possible. Make sure that your stops are all under control. And have a true stop. Like, don't adjust your stop just because you want to be right. Cut it. You can always re-enter. All right. So I don't think there's I'm a small account trader, so I must swing trade. If you got the time and the ability to day trade, don't sit there and miss out on the opportunity to make your day trades if you got it. But if swing trading works best for you, then do it. Can I tell y'all about full reporting? So you be doing that with a small account. You shouldn't trade. First off, you shouldn't trade with any money you can't afford to lose, right? So if your account going to zero would be a detriment to your life, cause you to have some emotional trauma in any sort, you should not be trading with that money. You can invest it long term, right? But you shouldn't be actively trading with money that if it went to zero, you would be emotionally reactive. When it comes to full porting, you should never full port anyway. When it comes to full porting, that's the concept of putting your whole account on the trade, right? Which again, you should never, ever do. Okay, cool. Now, if you were to full port for some odd reason, and again, you should never, ever full port. I'm gonna give you an example that I did on Thursday. On Thursday, when I was live trading them, somebody asked about an entry on a trade. Like they had missed the move, and they were saying they wanted to get in the trade, and I was like, "Yo, you missed it." Right? But here it was, right? So we got in puts right here. These were the puts that went 83%. So we got inputs right here on the break of this level. I'm not going to give the whole full deep analysis, but this is our break. We got the retest here, continuation to the downside. Cool. So this is why I called out puts. This is where I got in at. All right. We were down here and somebody was like, yo, I missed it, man. And I still get in. I'm like, oh, boy. You could. And this is, again, going back to the point I made earlier about your ability to, once you learn how to read charts, you're not basing your trade off of, well, Jordan called it out 10 minutes ago, so now I can't get in. Or Jordan's up 20%, so now I can't get in. You don't want to chase, right? So blindly, I would say definitely not. But if you pull up the chart and you look at it and you're like, oh, no, this is continuing to go in this direction, then there's no reason to not do it. So this is what I was showing them. Came down here and we were forming this level of support over here. And we had this trend line resistance that we were making right here. Okay. So what I was explaining is if I'm going to go heavier on a trade, don't ever full port, don't ever full port. Okay, cool. So what we were looking at was taking an entry. And this is why I told them you can enter on this candle here. And this is why. We had our rejection here. We had our rejection here, rejection, right? So we're holding this trend line rejection for this resistance level. So what I said was you have your support right here at 41.32 because these candles hadn't printed yet. So I'm actually take it back. Okay. These candles hadn't printed yet. Never full port again. All these disclaimers. All right, you also have this support level right here. This is the one we were targeting. So I said, you can enter on the retest of this resistance, put your stop right above this swing high right here. Right. So stop out at like 422.47, right? Or 50. And so when you put it and you actually measure it out, here's your entry, here's your stop, and then here's your real target is down here, but your first target is right here. All right, so you're setting yourself up with a 2.5 risk to reward ratio, and it's a solid trade, right? We're in a descending triangle, which is, again, this is literally like how I broke it down on the live. So you go watch the live, you'll see me doing this exact thing. Pulled up this picture, descending triangle, downtrend, horizontal support, trend line resistance, consolidation, break, retest, continuation to the downside. All right. Downtrend, bouncing up and down with this trend line, resistance, horizontal support. All right. So you're trading inside the descending triangle. You have the top of the resistance right here. So this is your ideal entry. If you miss that move, here's your entry. And this is a trade I would go heavier in. Again, never full port. But if you were going to go real heavy, this is a high probability trade for a quick scalp that you can go heavy in, and your stop loss is real tight, right? Because if it breaks back above this level, it's going to come retest this. And if we break above here, we're going back up. And I think that's actually what happened, right? But you then see that it continued. I think they grabbed 10% on this, right? So we went ahead, took that target out. And then we came back and we took the retest right here. So there's your second target, right? Tight stop loss. And of course, you could trail the stop down. Okay. But when it comes to full porting, again, never ever full port. But that's an example of trades that I would go really heavy on. Is those I'm catching like the very top of this. Like I'm catching the top of this double top. So it's at the top, it's retesting that high, and it could break out. But my stop is 20 cents away. It hits this, I'm out. And I'm cool with taking -3, -5 real quick when I can gain +20, +15. I'll take that every time. All right. When I turn my hat around, listen up. How do you turn $1 into $1 million? LOL. All right. If you could only have 3 ETFs, what would they be? I don't know. If I could only have 3 ETFs, that's why I like doing classes, because I'd be acting it's my class. I do what I want. If I could have 3 ETFs, what I would do is come pull up the ETFs on this website. I think they got all they good information is like locked behind some paywall now. But what I would do is I would come look at the returns. I would look at the returns over the past 5 years, and I would look to invest in whatever ETFs have the best returns consistently. So this solar ETF is probably like consistent across the board. 5-year return, 10%, 190% over the last 3 years. 1 year it's up 4%, which normally is like, ugh. But when you compare it across the rest of the market, man, they're doing all right to be up over the past year. You see the rest of the stuff on this list was down, minus this. And this was clean energy. So, right. So this is how I would look at it if I just had to pick ETFs. I don't have any off the top of my head. But this is how I like to base my stuff. Even when I had a 9 to 5 and they put me in that target date fund for my 401k, said, nah, bro, let me open up whatever I could choose from. Let me look at the returns for these different funds. I'm not in this target date fund that had me retiring at 2065. So that's how I would look it up, Sean. Don't full port small accounts either. Definitely not. Like I said, don't ever full port. But if you were going full port. And there go D-Wiz, Mr. Full Port says never full port. I gotta protect y'all. Learn from the odds. Yep, that's right, DC. SPY, VOO, QQQ. Yeah, so when you're picking your ETFs, there's so many ETFs, and you can take it tons of different ways. I'm personally not one to be like, yo, I'm really into it's like a dog food ETF or something like that, like a pet care. Like it's like a pet ETF. People who like stocks that deal with pets. I got pets. That don't mean I'm buying a pet ETF. You know what I'm saying? So like I'm not one for the buy what you use. I'm also not one for buy what everyone else is buying. Um, of course, you can stick with SPY. I'm really one for how can I maximize the return? I invest to make money. And if I have $1,000 and I can put my $1,000 in this, that's going to give me maybe a 10% return, and this that's going to give me about a 30% return. If I measure the risk as being equal, but the reward is skewed, I'm going with the high reward possibility, right? So when I come back to this ETF website and it tells me that for the past week, month, year to date, year, 1 year, 5 year, 3 year, like this solar ETF has been positive, I'm taking a deep dive into this and seeing what it got going on, right? Because if I go look at, let's look at, let me see if I can pull up, let me pull up SPY. So this ETF, I ain't got no pen by me. 5 year, 326%, 1 year, 190. All right, I'm gonna pop back to this in a second. Let me look at SPY. See if I can look at the returns on SPY. It's on here somewhere. Somebody tell me where is that? Performance. All right. SPY, 5-year return, 87%. 3-year, 51. 1 year, -4. Year to date, -11. Let's go back to that other this other thing. 5 year, 326. SPYs was 80 something. 3 years, 190. SPYs was like 40 or whatever. It's positive this year to date. It's positive within the last year. SPY is negative year to date. SPY is negative the past year. So me, I'm putting my money where money is going to grow. Right? That's me. That's how I decide what I'm putting my money in. Sorry for the the vigor and the passion, but you know, and that's just because I'm thorough with what I do, bro. I'm thorough. When you look at those comparisons side by side, that's how you can start having the gaps between different people. That's why it's not a matter of how much money you starting with. It's not a matter of how long you've been investing, like all that stuff. Like it's cool and it matters to an extent. But when you start getting in your bag and you start doing a deep dive, that's how you can propel yourself a lot further than whoever else like you competing with to a degree, right? Do you always say the stop loss, scalp swings? Thanks for my DE trade. Nah, I don't set stop losses all the time because usually I don't lose. I don't stop loss. No. So on a serious note, yeah, I usually will have stop losses based on price. I usually do a trailing stop, right? So that was half joke, half serious when I said like usually I don't lose, so I don't set a stop. I set a stop, but typically my stop is going to be a trail. So what that looks like is when we go back to those SPY puts from the 11th, right? So when we enter SPY puts right here, I enter SPY puts right here. I was never in drawdown on this position, maybe 2% right here, but I was never negative on this trade, right? So in all seriousness, yeah, my stop is right here or right here, but I'm very confident that I'm not going to lose this. But if I did, my stop would have been above this high, right, or above this high. But what turns out for most of my trades, what results is we're going positive, and once we're up, 10% or so, I'll alert to the group, hey, you up 10%, move a stop market order to break even so that you don't lose any of the money. Worst case scenario, you go out -0, right? And that did happen on one of my SPY calls this week. I went up 10%, but then it dropped back down to break even. I got out at break even, right? But then I will move my stop along the way. So here's an easy way to look at it. And again, this is our entry. So to make something like a little easier to look at, let's say that we need our exit to be, just for example, our exit is going to be 3 Heikin-Ashi candles of the opposite color. And this is just like how I start testing stuff out, right? 3 Heikin-Ashi candles of a separate color. One, you actually see that would have worked out over here because you would have rolled this all the way up. And then you would have got out right here, right? And then it ends up flipping down. But on this put entry, if we're taking 3 Heikin-Ashi candles of the opposite color, then we would have got in. And our stop is literally following the candles. All right, so I'm not looking at price as much if this is my stop. I'm getting out when we have 3 Heikin-Ashi candles the opposite color, which is this candle here. All right, so using that stop. And so that's how I trade. With DE or with swings, usually I'm using highs, but I typically like to trail. And most of my swings somehow manage to hit profit like the next day at open. So I usually take profit right at open. Those DE swings, somebody had 400% on them. I took profit at 140. Them joints shot up. So you definitely, made 400%. We had 360 calls. It's at 368. Right? Came up and retested here. So I use lows, I use highs and lows for my stop loss. But yeah, that's like Fry Daddy said. I have stops, but most of the time, like when I call a stop out in the chat, most of the time it's for y'all. And so like I was kind of dissecting on the live the other day, like how to read my channel. It's like if I say trim, like you're up 20% trim, I didn't trim nothing, but that's to protect y'all accounts. So I know people will, I don't know. But when I say trim up here, setting a new do, when I start putting like 20 words with it, man, I trim. Look at Lauren. Yeah, Lauren put me on the Heikin-Ashis. She didn't teach me how to use them. On my swing morning exits, am I selecting market or limit orders? When I'm exiting in the mornings, like right at open, I'm usually exiting on a market order to ensure I get filled. Because you're trying to play around right after market open, you're going to have a bunch of fluctuation right when market opens. So I usually do a market order, go ahead and get filled. And I'm up, if I'm up 30, 40%, I'm fine with sacrificing 1% or 2% to make sure I get filled versus putting in a fill. It's a limit order fill. That's happened to me recently where I put in a limit order and I'll close the app. I'll close the brokerage. And then I reopen the brokerage and I'm down because my limit order never got triggered. So I was up 30%, but then I came back and I never got triggered. So yeah, I usually will do market. Yeah. I can't stand stuff like that be hurt. Stuff like that hurt. Put a sell order as a limit, go to the group chat, tell y'all to close y'all trades. I don't go recheck mine. Y'all like, thanks, Jordan, I made 60%. I go check mine, I'm down 30% an hour later. I'm still in. I didn't even know. But yeah, so hopefully those help with, looking for swings, using the chat to find swings, using FinViz. You can start diving into your own scanners and screeners, test strategies. If you feel like getting deep in your bag, you can literally look up swing trade strategies. Like, why not? You know what I'm saying? Rainer Tio. Watch his videos. See what he talking about. 10 swing. Like, watch this stuff, bro. Watch the stuff these folks cover, and then go pull up a chart and back test it. Simple. You know what I'm saying? Indicators. Swing trade strategy indicators. Maybe they go through, if they go through like an actual example. So what you could do, like I said, I create a lot of my own strategies. Like I showed y'all on the other website, like a lot of my my scans are scans I hand created. Um, so like if you was trying to test stuff, one thing you could do is just combine indicators, right? So we pull up SPY and you can just look for confluence across indicators. So you can pull up SPY and you can say, all right, I know the RSI when it goes below 30 or whatever, sorry, when it goes below 30, that's oversold and it should bounce soon. And when it's above 70, that's overbought and it should drop soon, right? You could take that and you can double it up with something like a Bollinger Band. You can be like, all right, I also know when it hits the top of a Bollinger Band, it should start declining. When it's the bottom of a Bollinger Band, it should start shooting up, right? So when you start doing stuff like that, then you can get to the point where you're looking at it and you're like, okay, let me look for an entry. So we got a Bollinger Band below 30. I mean, RSI is below 30 here, right? So here we go below 30 and we're below the Bollinger Band. So now we're going to wait for a new high to come in. And this, man. So now we're going to wait for a new high, right? So this is combining indicators. Like I said, you need to look at the candlesticks. This is combining indicators with the candlesticks to create a trade strategy. And you can go back test this. All right. So indicator one, RSI, and Bollinger Band, whichever order, you can see if an order matters or not. But for the sake and purpose of this, RSI is oversold and we're below the lower Bollinger Band. Now we're going to wait for a new high to come in. So this did not make a new high. This candle did not make a new high. This candle did make a new high. So we enter on this candle's making a new high. So our entry is here. All right. Our entry's here. Let me zoom in. And then we're going to use 2 candles low as our initial stop. Feel like some of y'all, if y'all have joined my class before, like this sounds normal to y'all, but I feel like a lot of folks are like, bro, what you mean, dude? So what I mean by that is looking at the low of previous 2 candles, our initial stop. Target, you can do top of Bollinger Band, you can do an RSI based target. You can do a technical target. We have a double top that ends up forming. So if you never closed, you could get out here. You could do, hey, once it breaks back above the 20-day moving average, I'm out. All right. So even looking at that, and we'll look at that. If you look at that, enter here, comes back down and draw down by about 2.5%. But then you end up taking 4% on your swing, right? In 1 week. Look for another. We need the RSI to break below 30. We need to be outside the Bollinger Band. And so this is just like if you are creating indicator-based strategies. So those didn't break 30. Let's find another RSI break 30. And you're going to see it happens. It is very rare the RSI is going to break 30 on SPY on the daily. But that's because we've been in the uptrend, All right, so here we go. Another time it broke 30. All right, so it broke 30 here, dropping. I remember this February. All right, dropping. We get a new high here. This one would have been a loss. All right, you would have got pulled out down here. All right, so that one would have been a loss. You can carry it on over. And so when you're back testing this stuff, right, you can keep a log literally of how stuff played out. This one would have been a win. All right, below the Bollinger Band, RSI below 30, enter on the high, take it up to retest the moving average. All right, or even you got out right here, that would have been a win for you on the swing. And you can start looking at things, right? So I'm not gonna open the chat just yet, but typical questions would be like, yo, how would I know what expiration to get? When you back test it out, see what the average hold time is. If you back test it out and you notice that the average time to hold these trades is 2 weeks, then maybe you get a 3-week expiration. You could take this down to the 2 hour, you could take this down to the 1 hour, right? And you can test the same stuff on different time frames. Because 1 hour is probably going to give you a lot more signals, right? Here we go again. Break below 30. take it back up. Here we go again. Outside the Bollinger Band, break below 30, take it back up. All right. So that's how you can make an indicator-based strategy. That's how you can make your own strategy. You can day trade, swing trade, scalp with, da 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 da. I'm starting to get a little too loose for y'all right now. I'm sorry. Explain the HA strat again. Heikin-Ashi. Oh, the Heikin-Ashi thing I was saying. So that's just how you can look at different ways of using a trailing stop loss. Like I'll use candlestick highs and lows to trail my stops if I'm actively looking at the screen. Like on Thursday, when I sat in front of the Zoom for 6 hours looking at this chart in this chair, like I was looking at the chart. So I didn't need to use any like more complicated strategy, right? Because I was looking at it. You know what I'm saying? But with that Heikin-Ashi, yeah, it was just flipping over to the Heikin-Ashi and then using 3 candles in the opposite color could be a trailing stop. There's different ways you could do it. You can do 1 candle in the opposite color. I wouldn't do that like on a 1 minute. You're gonna get that to fire off a lot more where it's not really a trend reversal. So that's why I'm gonna look at it differently. All right, so on the 1 minute, I wouldn't do that, right? Because that's gonna pull us out of trade. And of course, you could re-enter, right? That's gonna pull us out the trade. But if we're looking at, something like a 3 or a 5, then you wait on 3 candlesticks to come in the opposite color. You enter this trade right here on this breakout. All right, you enter on the breakout, you can get out right here. And then if you re-enter on a break above here, got your level over here as a target. Now you re-enter on a break above here. If you're using that 3 candle Heikin-Ashi, then you're still in this trade. Right? You took the breakout here, trimmed here at your resistance, and then you keep going. You're still in this. Right? Your stop hasn't triggered. And you're still in on the 5 minute, right? So this was, that would have been a swing overnight, but you're still in the trade, right? Great information. Appreciate you. Sundial earnings. Yeah, I called a Sundial call lotto. $9 million of cash, no outstanding debt, 334 million of unrestricted cash, record net revenue, 2,300% increase since last second quarter. Yeah, so I called lottos on Sundial. They had earnings. They had a 2,300% increase in revenue since second quarter of last year. So we'll see what happens on Monday pre-market if there's some more movement on it. But yeah, they killed earnings. You got Jake says, see you in the Maldives sipping martinis. We can do it, bro. What's the difference between regular candles and Heikin-Ashi candles? Heikin-Ashi candles are composed of some funky math, bro. So Heikin-Ashi candles, here's your formula, right? It's going to take so to break this down, the high and lows are going to be true, right? So it's still the true high and low. But the open and close of your Heikin-Ashi candles are going to be averages of the previous candle. So the close of your Heikin-Ashi candle is that 1/4 of the open, high, low, and close, right? So the average of the open, high, low, close. So it get kind of funky, right? The regular candles are just true to what they are. The close is the close, the open is the open, the high is the high, the low is the low. Oh, thanks, Fried Daddy. Yeah. Heikin-Ashi's, I don't trade, like when I'm trading my charts, I don't trade straight Heikin-Ashi. So if I do throw a Heikin-Ashi on, I'll use it to hold me in a trade. So if I'm trading, like, okay, cool, I got in on this breakout right here, right? And then I'm like, okay, I want to, use a trail and stop with a Heikin-Ashi. Then I can just flip over here real quick. And that way I can just see, And once you start getting the color change, usually you're going to start being able to reverse trend. Color change or wicks in the opposite direction. right? So you'll notice with these candles, like none of these candles have lower wicks, right? In reality, the regular candle got lower wicks for sure, right? But once you start getting, you get the first lower wick candle right here, and that turns out to be like the high candle, right? The candle right after the high, and that's the candle that leads us into this reversal, right? So, has there been a day where you did not see any good buying, selling opportunities, resulting in you not moving your chess pieces until tomorrow? Nah. I'm gonna find some, bro. So Sean asks, has there ever been a day basically where I didn't see anything I wanted to trade, so I just didn't trade that day? No, if I don't trade that day, it's because I just choose not to. So like today, I didn't take anything new. I did take something new. Those lottos that I already planned on taking, and I watched go up 50%. But yeah, because I've studied so much, right? Like we just went through FinViz, we went through Profits Pie. I literally just showed y'all 4 different ways to find swing trades, right? And that's just what I showed y'all within like a 30-minute span. So I have so like knowledge of so many different ways and so many different things I can break down that if I don't see, for example, if I don't see something on FinViz pop out, if I don't see something on FinViz stand out to me, then I'm coming over here to all these screeners that I done set up, and I can pop some of those open. If I don't see something on there, I can go to the profit calendar and look for swings on there. If I don't see nothing on profit calendar I like, I would really start off by just flipping through my watch list. Right. I can flip through my watch list. Right. And if I don't see anything on my watch list that I like, that's cool. I can just go to the Discord, and this can be in any order. I can go to the Discord and look at the bot trade ideas and see what's going on. And if I go through the bot trades and I don't see something I like, I can go to the strat trades and see if there's something there. And so out of all of that, you're going to find something. You know what I'm saying? Oh, and so that's that's what I've covered on this class, right? So no, there's never really been a day where I'm like, no, there's no trades out there possible for me. I'm just not gonna take nothing. Now, what I will do, like last Tuesday or this Tuesday, I was actually live trading with 2 of our members in person, and I took 2 losses on SPY because SPY on Tuesday, it was like consolidating real tight, like 30 minutes of consolidation. It'll do a quick pop in one direction and then just keep consolidating. I think SPY on Tuesday had like a $3 range the whole day. Take these Fibonacci candles up. What was this, the 9th? Was the 9th Tuesday? Yep. So this was Tuesday. SPY's open was 413.21, and the low was 410.22. So SPY literally had a $3 range the whole day, and SPY's average range is like $8. So SPY didn't move that day. So I caught 2 L's on SPY trying to day trade it, but it wasn't moving. But then because SPY, like trying to day trade or scout SPY wasn't hitting for me, I just started swing trading, and I swung Roku and I swung Wayfair puts, and both of those, hit for profit. So I'll just adapt and switch flows to what I need to do. And that's it. Have I used TrendSpider? No, not really. I checked it out for about like a week. I think they had like a week free trial or something. I checked it out. I ain't really use it like that. Always money in the market. Discord has something every day for sure. What's the profit calendar? Profit calendar. How do I put this in short? The profit calendar is something I set up 2019. I'm gonna give you like a quick rundown because I'm not gonna turn this into a profit calendar class. But basically, the profit calendar does is me giving you like literal Friday to be too quick with it. The profit calendar is me giving you literal trade ideas for swings based off of trends in the market, right? That certain stocks have had. So I'm gonna pull up the example. Well, the 2021. Right. So this is kind of how they all look. And you can literally access all these. This is part of like my courses and everything. So how this is reading for you is Monster Beverage Corporation, buy on 11, sell on 12, 4. Looking at that pattern over the past 17 years, right? And this was for 2020, right? And so looking at those dates are just for weekends and things of that nature, you can literally go ahead and make profit on that. I sound so dead right now. So we're gonna look at it. Let's just look at Monster from November to early December. We can just look at it real quick so you can get the idea. So I'm gonna explain it. I'm gonna continue to explain it for you, Samantha, while I show it on the chart. So when you think about like Apple, Amazon, Nike, you know that when it comes to them having like peak seasons, think about it like that. Like companies have peak seasons, right? And so when companies have peak seasons, you can sometimes like anticipate consistent moves in their stock. And so that's all it is capitalizing on it. So the fact that, some companies, it is their peak season, some companies is not. Some companies, they just tend to do well over that period of time for some reason. So this one would have been a loss. And I'm gonna go ahead and just like show it out, right? So this one, you would have took a loss on this trade for Monster in November. This is the one from 2020. This one would have been a win, right? You would have entered here, but got out here. I'm glad this is already marked up. Please be marked up. It's not marked up anymore. You would have entered November 11th here. And you would have got out December 4th, which is up here, right? So you'd have got 4% profit, right? So the whole thing was basically just finding out that certain stocks do good during certain months. I'm like, okay, cool. So Apple usually goes up in December. That's cool. What part of December, right? Is it the first week? Is it the third week? Is it like the middle of the week? What is it? Right. And then taking that, drilling down, and then being able to be like, okay, cool. So these are the dates that I can squeeze out like a good return on these stocks in a quick amount of time. And with the stock market averaging about 10, 11, 12% per year, 9 to 11% per year, being able to grab 4% in a matter of days is really good. Right. So that's kind of like the short breakdown. On my website, there is a webinar where I go through it and explain, the whole use of it. But that's it. It just helped me make more money with a lot less work. I didn't need to look at charts. And this is the results from 2021. Like without looking at charts, if you just traded straight off the dates I told you to buy and sell stuff, you would have had a 71% win rate. Could have flipped 1K to 4K. And total ROI was 150%, just about. Yeah, so this is, you said options, right? So this is all based off of the shares. This is just based off of equity price data, right? So you can implement it with options. Typically, you would want to do it through debit spreads or credit spreads. But you can, and people do it just buying and naked options. And it still will work. But you just have to remember, the thing that people forget a lot with it is that options are more time-based. When you're buying options, a lot of value is in the time. And so if we're saying that the move is going to be from the 11th to the 4th, right? So you enter here. When you come back to here, and it's 10 days and you're back at break even on the stock share price, the share price is break even. Your contract is not break even because you've been in it for 10 days. You lost 10 days worth of price. You lost 10 days worth of value in that contract, right? Ultimately, it does go up and hit. So there's different ways I cover in the webinar and I cover within the profit calendar that break down that, right? Like how to use it best for options, but you can. Do I go over spreads? What's the minimum you need to account for spreads? I used to trade spreads a lot. I started calling them out in the chat as well, but basically I stopped calling them in the chat because I would have to run a spreads class every day or every week because a lot of people don't understand spreads. But yeah, I do go over spreads in like my courses. Nate's done a class on spreads. Um, with as far as how much do you need in an account, if you have a margin account, you can trade them, or you need $25,000. You can trade spreads on a margin account. Spreads are a great way for you to reduce your risk and still be able to capture profit. You're going to shrink your risk, but you're also going to shrink your profit. But because you're going to be selling contracts as well and collecting premium up front, you'll be in a better position on your trade as far as like a risk. Like if you got a smaller account, spreads are a good way to build that account. Strat Daddy said you on the way. Good, bro. I was just looking at the clock. I'm like, man, I know my family like it. Jordan said he was not doing a 5-hour class. He already had hour number 2. It's all good though. Fry Daddy about to be the Strat Daddy low key. Fry Daddy be on here talking about broad information, 3-1-2s, 2-1-2s. I'm like, dang, Fry Daddy, I'm finna ask you to teach me something, man. I be serious too. Because you can learn from anybody. And that's like one of the things I think people don't be realizing or accepting is that you can really learn from anybody, man. Because there's always somebody who not only has different perspectives or different experiences, but they might have just dove deeper in something than you did. Right. And so, like, good example is me and Moody. Moody's been trading for about 2 years now. I've been investing in trading. I've been trading for 7 years, technically. I've been in the market for 10 years. But the strat, I've heard about the strat a little bit, but I didn't fully start learning the strat for real until Moody, and I've learned from Moody, and he's been doing this for 2 years. Right. So it's always different stuff and different concepts you can take from people because you don't ever know who they know. MK said in my Jordan voice, how can I make the Discord better? Yeah, bro. Y'all know that's what I'm always on, bro. I always want to just turn stuff up, bro. I'm not stopping till when I put out what y'all want added to the Discord next, until everybody is like, dude, you done enough, then I can chill maybe for like a day and a half. But So it sounds like Moody's about to get on in a minute. That's pretty much it, I guess, for the class, unless y'all got anything else. Fry Daddy and Luther Zoom. Carlos, you gonna get on here too, bro. I'm gonna go ahead and stop the recording. It'll get posted up. I'm gonna let y'all